Ancient Egypt. The very name conjures up images of golden sands, mighty rivers, and secrets hidden for centuries. It's a land that has captivated explorers and dreamers for generations, and oh, what stories it has to tell. Imagine a civilization so grand, so ambitious, that its achievements still leave us breathless today. We are talking about a time long, long ago, a time when magic and reality seemed to dance hand in hand. This ancient world wasn't just about pharaohs and mummies, it was about people, their lives, their beliefs, and their incredible ingenuity. It's a journey back thousands of years to a place that truly shaped our understanding of human history. Isn't it just marvelous? Now, within this vast tapestry of Egyptian history, there are distinct periods like chapters in a colossal book. One of the most fascinating and perhaps the most iconic is known as the Old Kingdom. This was an era of incredible power, stability, and most famously, the age when the Great Pyramids were built. Think of it as Egypt's first truly golden age, a time when the foundations of its enduring culture were laid down with such strength and vision. It's a period that shines so brightly, a beacon from the past, guiding us to understand the sheer scale of their ambition and the depth of their spiritual world. It's an age that truly defined what it meant to be Egyptian for millennia to come. The heart of this ancient land was, and still is, the magnificent River Nile. This life-giving river snaked its way through the arid desert, creating a fertile green ribbon where civilization could flourish. Without the Nile, there would have been no ancient Egypt as we know it. Its annual floods brought rich black silt that made the land perfect for farming. It was the highway, the source of water, the very lifeblood of the people. The Old Kingdom blossomed along its banks, a testament to the river's enduring power to nurture and sustain. One can just picture the bustling activity, the boats sailing up and down, the fields green with crops. So, when we talk about the Old Kingdom, we are stepping into a world of profound significance. It wasn't just a random collection of years, it was a specific time when Egypt truly came into its own. The ideas, the art, the architecture, and the societal structures developed during this period would echo down through the centuries, influencing everything that came after. It's the bedrock upon which later Egyptian glories were built, a time of extraordinary beginnings. And to think we can still see and touch the remnants of this incredible age today. Isn't that just utterly thrilling? It's an invitation to explore, to learn, and to marvel. To truly understand the Old Kingdom, we must anchor it in time. It wasn't a fleeting moment, but a substantial period of history. Most scholars agree that the Old Kingdom flourished for around 500 years, stretching roughly from 2686 BC to 2181 BC. Imagine that. Half a millennium of relative stability and extraordinary achievement. This was a time when many other parts of the world were still in their infancy, yet Egypt was already building monuments that would stand for eternity. It's quite mind-boggling to think of the sheer passage of time, and how these ancient people made such an indelible mark so very long ago. Geographically, the Old Kingdom was centered, as all of ancient Egypt was, along the fertile banks of the River Nile. Its domain stretched from the lush Nile Delta in the north, where the river fans out into the Mediterranean Sea, down to Aswan and the First Cataract in the south. This long narrow strip of land was known as Kemet, meaning the Black Land, referring to the rich dark soil deposited by the Nile's floods. Beyond this fertile haven lay the Deshret, the Red Land, the vast and inhospitable desert. The contrast was stark, life and barrenness existing side by side, a constant reminder of the Nile's precious gift. The administrative heart of the Old Kingdom was often located in the city of Memphis, strategically positioned near the apex of the Nile Delta. From here the pharaohs could oversee both Upper Egypt, the southern upstream part of the Nile Valley, and Lower Egypt, the northern Delta region. The unification of these two lands was a cornerstone of Egyptian kingship, and Memphis served as a powerful symbol of this unity. It was a bustling capital filled with temples, palaces, and the homes of officials who helped run the kingdom. One can only imagine the grandeur and activity of such a vital center of power in those ancient days. This specific location and time frame are crucial because they provided the perfect conditions for the Old Kingdom to thrive. The predictable flooding of the Nile ensured agricultural surplus, which in turn supported a large population and allowed for specialized labor, including those who would build the magnificent pyramids. The relative isolation provided by the surrounding deserts also offered a degree of protection from invaders. allowing the culture to develop with a unique and uninterrupted character for centuries. It was a remarkable confluence of geography and historical moment, setting the stage for greatness, a true cradle of civilization. At the very pinnacle of Old Kingdom society stood the pharaoh, a figure of immense power and reverence. The pharaoh was not merely a king, he was considered a living god, a divine intermediary between the celestial realm and the mortal world. This belief was absolutely central to Egyptian life and governance. He was the embodiment of Horus, the falcon-headed god, while he lived, and was believed to become Osiris, god of the afterlife upon his death. His role was to maintain Ma'at, the divine order, truth and justice, ensuring the prosperity and stability of the land. It's a concept so grand, so all-encompassing, it's almost hard to grasp fully. Several pharaohs from the Old Kingdom left an indelible mark on history, their names forever associated with architectural innovation and power. One of the earliest and most significant was Djoser, who reigned during the Third Dynasty. It was for him that the first great stone monument, the Step Pyramid at Saqqara, was built by his brilliant architect, Imhotep. This structure was revolutionary, a departure from earlier mud-brick tombs, and it set the stage for the even grander pyramids to come. Djoser's reign truly heralded the dawn of the Pyramid Age, a bold statement of royal power and divine connection. Later during the Fourth Dynasty, pharaohs like Sneferu, Khufu, Khafre and Menkaure took pyramid building to its zenith. Sneferu, Khufu's father, was a prolific builder experimenting with pyramid design, as seen in the Bent Pyramid and the Red Pyramid at Dashur. Then came Khufu, the architect of the Great Pyramid of Giza, the largest and most famous pyramid ever constructed, a feat that still astounds engineers today. His son Khafre built the Second Great Pyramid at Giza, and is often credited with the majestic Great Sphinx that guards the plateau. These rulers commanded vast resources and manpower, all dedicated to ensuring their successful journey into the afterlife and their enduring legacy. The pharaoh's authority was absolute, extending over every aspect of Egyptian life, from religious ceremonies and lawmaking to commanding the army and overseeing vast building projects. He was surrounded by a court of high officials, priests and scribes who helped administer the kingdom. Yet despite this immense power, the pharaoh also bore a heavy responsibility. The welfare of Egypt rested on his shoulders. If the Nile floods were poor or famine-struck, it could be seen as a sign that Ma'at was disturbed, and the pharaoh's divine connection was faltering. It was a weighty crown indeed, worn by these extraordinary god-kings of ancient times. While the pharaoh was at the apex, Old Kingdom society was a complex structure, a pyramid in itself, with many different layers of people, each playing a vital role. Just below the divine ruler were the nobles and high officials. These were often relatives of the pharaoh or individuals who had earned his favor. They served as governors of provinces called nomes, chief advisors, treasurers, and overseers of major royal projects, including the construction of the pyramids. They lived lives of considerable comfort and privilege, often being granted land and fine tombs near the pharaoh's own, hoping to share in his eternal afterlife. Next in the hierarchy came the priests and priestesses, who were incredibly important figures. They were responsible for serving the gods in the temples, performing daily rituals, and managing the vast temple estates, which often held significant wealth and land. They were learned individuals, often skilled in reading, writing, and various sciences, as religious practice was deeply intertwined with understanding the cosmos. Scribes also held a respected position. They were the literate class, essential for administration, record-keeping, tax collection, and writing religious texts. Without scribes, the complex machinery of the Old Kingdom state simply could not have functioned. Their meticulous records give us so much of what we know today. The backbone of the Old Kingdom's economy and workforce comprised skilled artisans, farmers, and laborers. Artisans were the craftsmen stonemasons who shaped the pyramid blocks with incredible precision, sculptors who created breathtaking statues, painters who adorned tomb walls with vibrant scenes, carpenters, jewelers, and potters. Their skills were highly valued, and their work not only served the pharaoh and the gods but also enriched daily life. They often worked in royal workshops or for wealthy nobles, creating objects of beauty and utility that still fill museums today. It's wonderful to think of their hands shaping these timeless treasures. At the base of the societal pyramid were the farmers, the vast majority of the population. They toiled in the fields along the Nile, cultivating wheat, barley, flax, vegetables, and fruits. Their agricultural surplus fed the entire kingdom and allowed for the specialization of other roles. Below them, or perhaps alongside them in terms of hard labor, were the unskilled laborers. During the inundation season, when the Nile flooded the fields and farming was impossible, many farmers would likely have been conscripted to work on the pharaoh's massive building projects, such as quarrying stone or hauling blocks for the pyramids. Their collective effort, often unseen, was absolutely fundamental to the grand achievements of the age. The pyramids, those colossal stone mountains rising from the desert, were far more than just impressive structures. They were deeply spiritual monuments, built with a profound purpose. The ancient Egyptians held incredibly strong beliefs about the afterlife. They believed that death was not an end, but a transition to another phase of existence, an eternal life in a paradise sometimes called the Field of Reeds. To reach this afterlife and thrive in it, the deceased, particularly the pharaoh, needed their body to be preserved through mummification and to be equipped with all the necessities they would require. It's a fascinating glimpse into their view of eternity. The primary purpose of a pyramid, therefore, was to serve as a magnificent and secure tomb for the pharaoh. It was designed to protect his mummified body and his worldly possessions, furniture, food, drink, tools, weapons, statues, and precious jewels, from tomb robbers and the ravages of time. The sheer scale of the pyramids was intended to be a statement of the pharaoh's power and his divine status, ensuring his successful journey to join the gods. They were quite literally seen as resurrection machines, places from which the pharaoh's spirit, or Ka, could ascend to the heavens and travel with the sun god Ra in his solar bark across the sky each day. The shape of the pyramid itself is thought to be highly symbolic. Some scholars believe it represented the primeval mound, the Benben, from which the Egyptians believed life first emerged from the waters of chaos at the beginning of creation. Others suggest the sloping sides were seen as a ramp or stairway for the pharaoh's soul to climb up to the sky and join the circumpolar stars, the imperishable ones that never set. The capstone, or pyramidion, often gilded or made of electrum, would have caught the first and last rays of the sun, linking the structure directly to the sun god Ra, one of the most important deities in the Old Kingdom. So these immense constructions were not built out of vanity alone, though undoubtedly that played a part. They were complex religious machines, designed to ensure the pharaoh's immortality and, by extension, the continued well-being and prosperity of Egypt itself. The pharaoh's successful transition to the afterlife was crucial for maintaining Ma'at, the cosmic order. If the pharaoh thrived eternally, then Egypt would thrive too. It was an investment in the stability of the entire universe as they understood it. One can only marvel at the conviction and dedication that fueled such monumental undertakings. The construction of the pyramids, especially the Great Pyramid of Giza built for Pharaoh Khufu, is one of humanity's most astounding engineering achievements. Just imagine the scene. Tens of thousands of workers, quarries bustling with activity, and enormous blocks of stone, some weighing many tons, being moved and precisely placed. The Great Pyramid alone is estimated to contain around 2.3 million stone blocks. The logistical challenge was immense, requiring brilliant organization, meticulous planning, and an incredible amount of sheer hard work. It's a testament to what human beings can achieve when united by a powerful vision. The process began with quarrying the stone. Most of the core blocks for the Giza pyramids came from limestone quarries on the Giza plateau itself, which was very convenient. However, the finer quality white Tura limestone used for the smooth outer casing was quarried from across the Nile and ferried over on boats. Even more impressively, the massive granite blocks used for the burial chambers and sarcophagi were quarried in Aswan, hundreds of miles to the south, and transported downriver. Workers used copper tools such as chisels and saws along with dolerite pounders to extract these huge stones. It must have been backbreaking, painstaking labor. Moving these colossal blocks was another incredible feat. It's believed they were transported overland on large wooden sledges which were likely pulled by teams of men. To reduce friction, workers may have poured water on the sand in front of the sledge runners, a clever trick to make the heavy loads easier to drag. Once at the pyramid site, the blocks had to be raised to great heights. While the exact methods are still debated by scholars, it's widely thought that ramps were used, perhaps a single long straight ramp or a series of zigzagging ramps, or even a ramp that spiraled around the pyramid as it grew. The precision with which the blocks were fitted together is simply astonishing. The workforce that built the pyramids was not, as was once popularly believed, composed of slaves. Archaeological evidence from workers' villages near the pyramids, such as the one found at Giza, indicates that these were skilled and semi-skilled Egyptian laborers. They were housed, fed and paid, often in rations of bread, beer and other goods. There were bakers, brewers, doctors and scribes supporting the workforce. Building the pyramids was a national project, likely undertaken with a sense of duty and religious purpose, especially during the Nile's inundation period when agricultural work was impossible. It truly was a monumental collective effort, a wonder of human endeavor. Life for most people in the Old Kingdom revolved around the rhythms of the Nile and the agricultural seasons. Farmers, who formed the largest part of the population, lived in modest homes made of sun-dried mud bricks, often clustered in small villages close to their fields. Their year was divided into 3 seasons: Akhet, the inundation or flooding season; Pare, the growing season when the waters receded; and Shemu, the harvest season. They cultivated essential crops like emmer wheat and barley for bread and beer, the staples of the Egyptian diet, as well as flax for linen, and a variety of vegetables and fruits. Beyond farming, many other occupations kept society functioning. Skilled artisans, as we've mentioned, were vital for creating everything from tools and pottery to magnificent tomb decorations and statues. There were boat builders, essential for transport and trade along the Nile, and fishermen who provided an important source of protein. Weavers produced linen cloth, which was used for clothing and for mummification. In towns and cities like Memphis, there would have been merchants, shopkeepers, and people involved in various services. It was a bustling, organized society, far more complex than one might initially imagine for such an ancient time. Family life was very important to the ancient Egyptians. People typically married young, and families were often large. Children were cherished, seen as a blessing and support for their parents in old age. Tomb paintings frequently depict families together enjoying meals, playing games, or engaged in outdoor activities like hunting and fishing in the marshes. Popular games included Senet, a board game rather like drafts, which also had religious significance. Music and dance were also part of celebrations and religious festivals. Despite the hard work, there was clearly room for joy, community, and simple pleasures in their daily lives. Food and drink were of course central to daily existence. Bread made from emmer wheat or barley and beer, also made from barley, were the absolute cornerstones of the diet for everyone, from the pharaoh down to the humblest farmer. These were supplemented with fish from the Nile, poultry like ducks and geese, and a variety of vegetables such as onions, garlic, leeks, beans, and lentils. Fruits like dates, figs, and pomegranates were also enjoyed. For the wealthy, the diet would have been more varied, including more meat, wine, and imported delicacies. It's fascinating to think of them enjoying meals so similar in some ways to what people in the region eat today. Religion was not just a part of life in the Old Kingdom, it was life itself, permeating every aspect of existence, from the pharaoh's divine rule to the farmer's daily toil. The Egyptians worshipped a vast pantheon of gods and goddesses, each representing different forces of nature, aspects of life, or abstract concepts. These deities were believed to control the universe and influence human affairs, so it was crucial to honor them and keep them appeased through rituals and offerings. Temples were built as homes for the gods on earth, where priests performed sacred rites to maintain cosmic harmony. Among the most important deities during the Old Kingdom was Ra, the sun god, often depicted as a man with the head of a falcon crowned with a sun disk. He was seen as the king of the gods and the creator of the universe, sailing across the sky each day in his solar boat. The pharaohs of the Old Kingdom had a particularly strong connection to Ra, often calling themselves Son of Ra. Osiris was another key god, the ruler of the underworld and judge of the dead, who offered the promise of resurrection and eternal life. His story, involving his loyal wife Isis and their son Horus, was a central myth of regeneration and the triumph of good over evil. Worship involved more than just grand temple ceremonies, it also included personal piety. People would have had small shrines in their homes, made offerings, and recited prayers to protect their families and ensure good fortune. Amulets, small charms representing gods or sacred symbols like the ankh, symbol of life, or the scarab beetle, symbol of rebirth, were widely worn for protection and luck. The Egyptians believed deeply in magic, or Heka, which was seen as a divine force that could be harnessed through rituals and spells for positive outcomes, such as healing the sick or ensuring a safe journey to the afterlife. The concept of Maat, representing order, truth, balance, and justice, was fundamental to their religious and ethical worldview. It was the divine order established at creation, and it was everyone's responsibility, especially the pharaohs, to uphold Maat in their actions and words. Living a life in accordance with Maat was essential for a favorable judgment in the afterlife, where one's heart would be weighed against the feather of Maat. If the heart was lighter than the feather, the deceased would be granted eternal life. If not, they faced oblivion. This belief system provided a strong moral compass for society. The Old Kingdom, that remarkable age of pyramids and pharaohs, did not simply vanish into the sands of time without a trace. Its impact on the subsequent course of Egyptian civilization was profound and enduring. The systems of governance, with the pharaoh at its head, the religious beliefs centered on gods like Ra and Osiris, and the artistic and architectural styles established during this era became the bedrock upon which later Egyptian kingdoms built and elaborated. It was truly a formative period, setting the template for what it meant to be Egyptian for thousands of years. The sheer audacity and success of the pyramid builders left an indelible mark on the Egyptian psyche and on the world's imagination. These colossal monuments became symbols of Egypt's power, ingenuity, and deep spiritual convictions. While the scale of pyramid building would never quite be matched in later periods, the tradition of royal tomb construction continued, evolving into the rock-cut tombs of the Valley of the Kings. The skills developed by the architects, engineers, and artisans of the Old Kingdom were passed down, refined, and adapted, contributing to the continued flourishing of Egyptian art and architecture. Beyond the physical monuments, the Old Kingdom contributed significantly to the development of Egyptian writing, hieroglyphs, mathematics, medicine, and astronomy, all driven by practical needs like administration, construction, and religious observance. The meticulous record-keeping of scribes provided a framework for a complex state, and their texts offer us invaluable insights into their world. The religious texts that began to emerge towards the end of the Old Kingdom, known as the Pyramid Texts, inscribed inside pyramids, are some of the oldest religious writings in the world, offering glimpses into their complex cosmology and beliefs about the afterlife. Today, the legacy of the Old Kingdom continues to fascinate and inspire. The pyramids of Giza remain the last surviving wonder of the ancient world, drawing millions of visitors who marvel at their scale and mystery. Archaeologists and historians continue to study this period, constantly uncovering new details that enrich our understanding of this incredible civilization. The Old Kingdom reminds us of the extraordinary potential of human creativity, organization, and belief. It's a legacy not just for Egypt but for all of humanity, a testament to a time when people dared to build for eternity and, in many ways, succeeded. It's simply quite wonderful, isn't it?